What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Friday night's late night agenda, and your weekend has officially started. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you've got a good weekend planned. Just a reminder, the Reds are, of course, in action coming up on Sunday, 2 p.m. kickoff. We'll be live from 12:45 for that one. Today, well, we're going to be talking strikers mainly because there's been some breaking news around Liverpool beginning conversations with EKITIKE and interest in Victor Osimhen, which has been confirmed today as well. So we're going to ask, would people be happy with either of those options? We're going to be speaking about Jamie Carragher's comments that he thinks Liverpool could need as many as 6 signings this summer. A little look ahead to the transfer business going out as well. Ben Doak. Those rumours to Everton haven't gone away. In fact, we've now got a price Everton are willing to pay for him. A little bit on Murillo as well. And of course, anything else that you guys would like to discuss over the course of the next 90 minutes or so. This is your show. Have at it. I've seen some people in the comment asking about the song. You can tell what mood I'm going to be in based on whether I play the song or not. So today's been a very sad day for our family. So no song. If I'm in great humour, I usually put the song on to make myself even happier. But today, not a great day for us. So no song, but that's okay. We push on. And I jumped live a little bit quicker as well, just to make up for no song. So let's get through it all. And I guess mainly I want to know around your thoughts on Victor Osimhen. Because I'm unsure. I'll go even further and say I'd be worried if we signed Victor Osimhen. I just have never really believed in him as a striker. But I'm absolutely open to being wrong on it. For me, these are links that I would rather not be there. But they are there, so of course we're going to discuss them. And let's talk about that one first. So I'm going to ask, would you be happy with Victor Osimhen? So let me get the first poll of the night ready. 1 second as I type this out. Do 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 do. Okay. Right, so I'll give you a couple of simple answers. Yes, no, or I would prefer someone else. Cool. Sweet. Right. So, 3 answers there, folks. Yes, no, or I would prefer someone else. So do let me know what you guys think. Wesley said, just moved here about 2 years ago. Welcome in, Wesley. I hope all is good with you, my man. And while you guys are voting away on that, I'm going to quickly get our Surfshark ad read out of the way for you. So everybody take a moment, have a read of the poll, vote on it. I'm going to put the ad read up from our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. And then we'll come back in 65 seconds because we have a new video, so it's quicker. So I'll see you guys in 65 seconds. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. Right, my friends, we are back. Now let's get stuck into tonight's stream, and thank you once again to our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. We do appreciate their continued support. Right, so on Victor Osimhen, for me, he would be not even top 5 in my list of ideal strikers that I'd like to bring. Obviously, we're going to talk Isak would be top of the list. along with Julian Alvarez. But they're probably unrealistic for various reasons. So then you're starting to move into the ENQUIRIES, EKITIKE, Osimhen, and a few others like Gyökeres is another one. He looks like he's probably going to go to Arsenal. At least reports today suggest interest there is ramping up. But I've just never been convinced by Victor Osimhen. I know he did well at Napoli, but when I watch him, be it for Nigeria or even at Napoli, I don't see a striker I feel would be prolific, and that's what I think the aim should be for us. Now, I could have this completely wrong, and Victor Osimhen, could come in and be incredible, but it just doesn't excite me, and that's the most honest I can be about it. It wouldn't excite me. Scotty said, is Sesko available? Yes, he is, for about 80 million euro, so about 66, 67 million pounds, Scotty, I would imagine. Jorge, or George Castillo, said, Chiesa needs the same chance Darwin was given. The Chiesa one is very weird, right? So there's a story today on Fede, and the story says that, according to Christian Falk, CF Bayern, Federico Chiesa is not looking to leave Liverpool in the summer. The Italian wants to fulfill his contract at Anfield, which runs for 3 more years, and is determined to prove his worth to Liverpool. Now look, I'm all for that. We all like the idea of Chiesa being here. He's already a Liverpool player and certainly somebody that looks like he wants to be here. But if the manager isn't going to play him, this is going to be a situation that just causes frustration amongst the fans, because it'll be another player that's getting paid a wage, that cost a transfer fee, that's just sitting on the bench. So for me, if Chiesa wants to stay, that's great. But Arna has to want him to stay as well, or else this whole situation is just going to become even messier. And I don't understand why we're not seeing Chiesa get more chances. The only thing I can think of, and we've talked about this many times, is that Arna just mustn't want him. And if that's the case, are we going to be stuck with a player for another few years who is just running down a contract? I hope that's not the case. I hope he can win Arna around, and let's see what Fede can do. But as of right now, we're not seeing him get the chances. Sesko and Cunha for Darwin and Jota, please, said Jonesy lad. There's mixed reports on what's going on with regards to forward. So I want to run you through some words from Jamie Carragher. He was speaking in an article, I think maybe it was in The Guardian or The Telegraph. I'm not sure which one he was writing his column in. And he said the short version is Liverpool look like they'll win the league with ease. They're also the 10th team in the history of our top division to lose just one game at this stage, and could be the 5th team in the top flight to never lose an away game. But they need 6 players. And then in the article, he goes on to speak a little bit more about the players and the positions that he thinks. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I'll read it out to you. He said, Liverpool need a left back to compete with Andy Robertson. So far, I think that's common sense. I think we'd all agree, yeah, we need a left back in to compete with Robbo, so it makes sense then the costless as a player moved on. He said extending the Scottish captain's Anfield career by reducing the necessity for him to play every game. They need a centre back to ensure there is no crisis if Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate are unavailable. And again, I've no issues with that. I very much agree with Jamie's take there. I still don't think we've replaced Joel Matip. So for me, I don't just want a centre-back, but I want a future centre-back leader. Somebody to come in like Dean Huijsen. But no mention in here of what the thought process is for Jarell Quansah, which I found interesting. So I agree with Cara so far. Left-back, yes. Centre-back, yes. Then he goes on to say, also a deep central midfielder, so that Ryan Gravenberch and Alexis McAllister are not as overburdened next season as they have been in this one. And again, I can see where Cara's coming from. As a personal opinion, I'm open to that extra midfield body being Stefan Bajcetic, but if it isn't going to be him, I agree we need a body in there. Endo seems the obvious one, but again, we're talking about a situation where Endo may move on. So I'm up and down on whether we need that deep central line midfielder. I'm open to it being Bajcetic, but if it's not going to be him, then yes, I think we need a midfielder. He carries on though to say, add to that an attacking midfielder who will score and create more than Dominic Szoboszlai. So We've got an attacking midfielder needed. I think Elliott may move on this summer. So again, I can see a world where maybe, yeah, we need that attacking midfielder. Then he goes on to say, and this was the one that confused me, and finally, a left winger and a centre forward that can win games as often as Mohamed Salah. Such additions would enhance rather than replace those who have inspired Liverpool to the top. So that I disagree on. Like right now as we sit here, do we need a left winger? I would say no. You know, if we move on a left winger, absolutely. But right now as we sit here, left wing isn't a position that I think we need a player for. If anything, right wing and competition for Mohamed Salah would be the one that I think Liverpool would be well advised to look at. So I don't know here if Carragher's looking at this from the perspective of knowing something we don't know about a player or two maybe that may move on. But again, it comes back to thinking, is Diaz going to leave this summer? And if Diaz is going to leave this summer, then yeah, we probably do need a left winger. So give me your take on that one, folks. What do we think on Jamie Carragher's thoughts about Liverpool needing 6 signings? Agree or disagree? Let's go back to the poll. So far we've had over 500 votes, which is awesome. Thank you to everyone that voted. Please do continue. And the question is, would you be happy with Osimhen as a replacement for Darwin Núñez? The options are yes, no, or I would prefer somebody else. I would very much be in the latter. I would prefer somebody else. But, like I've always said, if Arna wants a particular player, I'm more than open-minded to that player coming in. But where did this story come from today about Osimhen? Well, Sky Sports, of all places. This piece here said, Victor Osimhen is a player that Liverpool have admired for some time. Now, honestly, I've never heard of his name come up in any conversations that I've had, be it with journalists or others. So I don't know where this interest all of a sudden came from, other than the fact that Napoli are desperate to sell. And that makes me feel like Liverpool sniff a deal here again. Napoli want to sell Osimhen as soon as possible. English clubs are interested, according to Fabrizio Romano. So if Napoli want to sell, then that smacks to me again of Michael Edwards sniffing a bargain and going that direction. And this is what worries me about our club. The question, in my opinion, shouldn't be who is the most financially achievable player to get in. It should be simply who's going to be the best centre forward. Who's the one that should be coming in to replace Darwin Núñez and is the best. So yes, I understand that maybe the likes of Isak is unachievable because of the finances involved. Unrealistic ones. Julian Alvarez just might not be available. But outside of that, I want the decision to be based off the best fit and not the most financially attractive proposition for the club. And yeah, I'm worried. These type of stories make me worried as a fan that we're going down the quick and cheap route. Although I would imagine Osimhen's wages are probably going to be fairly significant. Steve Butler said Carragher was possibly questioning Diaz and Gakpo output in terms of goals and assists. He likened the replacement to Salah. A very fair point, Steve. Very fair point. And absolutely, mate, when I was reading over the Carragher story, my mind went a similar direction to yourself. Certainly, I think Diaz has more of a case to answer to when we're talking about end product. He hasn't produced enough of it. Gakpo, I do think, has chipped in. You know, I don't have the numbers to hand, but off my memory, I feel like he has chipped in more this season with a few goals and assists. But certainly Diaz has gone too long without putting the ball in the back of the net. Hayden said, I think you're wrong on this one. Hey, that's all good, my man. It is all good. And I'm open to being wrong, Hayden. You know? I was wrong about Ryan Gravenberch. I was very wrong about him. So all I can say is I always give you my honest opinion, right? I'm not saying my opinion is gospel. Far from it. If the club want Osimhen and he comes in and he looks like he fits, I'm more than happy. I just have to be honest about my own reservations about the type of signing. But again, please don't ever think that I think only my opinion counts, Hayden, my man. I'm absolutely open to these conversations, which is why I bring it to the chat. Paul Taylor said, why not Isak? Money, simply, mate. A couple of things, really. So you're looking at the situation, and Newcastle want 150 million. They also still owe some money to Sociedad, and Sociedad, I believe, have a sell-on clause as well, which would force the price up. And any journalist that I've seen cover the situation just very, very sceptical that Newcastle will sell and that anybody would pay what they're asking, which is 150 million for a player who has more than his fair share of injuries. It probably is too much money. And also a very interesting story, which I'll cover more in the late night video in more detail. But apparently, Klopp overruled some decision making and got us Darwin. So there's a piece I'm going to cover tonight in the late night video that said basically Jurgen Klopp was given two options. He was given the option of Darwin Núñez or Alexander Isak, and he went for Darwin Núñez. And if that was the case, we've got to say that was the wrong choice. Again, maybe Kloppo went with the old heart and emotion on this one, seeing Darwin up close playing against us for Benfica, where he did have good games and was a handful. But much like when he wanted Julian Brandt and other people at the club said to Mohamed Salah is the answer, you know, in this scenario, if we look back and look, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Certainly, I think we would have been better served signing Isak, but, you know, it is what it is, you know, situation's been and gone. Ben said, would you ever consider doing a rating for VAR for a game in the player ratings? Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, mate, sometimes we almost run out of space for the amount of images we have to go through to do them. And sometimes I don't want to extend the video out even longer. But I think it's better for me to highlight VAR when I think there's a problem and address it in the video than give VAR a rating in every single video. Part of the reason for that is because I don't want VAR to become more of a profoundly impactful thing in our content than it is frustrating when we're watching it. For me now, I'm on the get rid of VAR camp. And I was somebody who wanted VAR brought in. But right now, I got to say, if you ask me, and I was listening to Jonathan Liu speaking about this on Sky Sports last night, I'd be in the get rid of VAR. It's been an absolute pain in the backside. Absence. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, bro. Appreciate you becoming a member. Thank you for your support of the channel. Andrew said, Craig, love the content. 2 questions. Well, thank you, Andrew, and far away. Would you take EKITIKE or Osimhen and David as replacements? And what do you think about the Williams situation? So, EKITIKE, I've always been somebody who said, I don't know enough about him to tell you whether he's the guy or not. I've watched lots of clips, lots of highlights. I've seen him score different types of goals. And you can see he's got something about him. But I don't know enough about him to really wholeheartedly say he is the guy. But he's a guy in demand. And he's a guy that we're looking at. So, would I rather that or Osimhen and David? I don't want Jonathan David under any circumstances, to be honest with you. I just don't. Because again, it bangs of us being opportunistic and him being potentially on a free. So I don't think he's good enough. I would rather, if we were to bring in a 2-striker combo, somebody like EKITIKE and Delap or something along those lines. But between the two you've mentioned, EKITIKE and Osimhen, I'd probably lean to Hugo because I just have something in my head about Osimhen. I don't know what it is. Something just makes me think he's not a Liverpool player. I could see him in a Chelsea shirt. I don't know what it is. There's just something about him. Even when he was at Napoli, I didn't buy into the Victor Osimhen hype train. But again, just my opinion. I'm far from saying I'm right. Zaki said, disagree. Personally, I just wouldn't be able to swallow a linesman making an error that cost us a result. Would be the death of me. Just my opinion, though. Well, look, I don't think there is any perfect answer here, Zaki, because we're seeing VAR coming in, and for me, it comes down to this. We were pitched VAR as the thing that was going to stop the debates, stop the arguments with your mates down the pub or in school or in college or wherever, and it's been anything but. All VAR has done now is create a cottage industry for former referees to be given pundits roles, for us to become even more infuriated by looking at VAR officials seemingly not doing their job for us, as fans, I mean. And that's the thing for me. I'd rather feel like I've been hard done by a linesman and a ref who got to see something once over Paul Tierney looking at that challenge from Tarkowski and not asking the ref to go to the monitor. It infuriates me way more when I see that they have all this technology and they're not utilising it. Then you start asking yourself, why? What? Like, am I seeing this wrong, or are we being shafted? So yeah, I think we're being shafted. And I don't trust the officials to run VAR properly. So I'd go back to the old ways personally, where it was a quick glance to the linesman. If there's a flag or no flag, you celebrate. And yeah, you take it on the chin that sometimes wrong decisions are made. But for me, they've looked for a silver bullet to solve the issue, and it hasn't. And it's only increased the feelings of being hard done by when you don't think the decisions are right. That's just me, though. Craig, do your strongest Irish accent? By the way, yours strong. I don't think there is such a thing as an Irish accent because there's so many different dialects. So I would be a South Dublin Wicklow type of Irish accent. Then you've got like your Kerry Cork accent, your Donegal accent. It's, for such a small country, there's a varying range, but I don't know what you mean by the strongest accent. I can go in the Starly Boss, how are you? I can go down the Dublin route. I can give you the L Dublin route, which is, you know, a bit more kind of Ronnie Drew-esque, or we could go into the "you a langer boy" if we're going down to Cork or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I've always been told I don't really have too strong of an accent one way or the other. Stevie Kirkman said, "I'm sold on EKITIKE at the moment, so I don't believe the club will pay the 120 million for Isak." Look, I think, honestly, hand on heart, I think we can put Isak out of our minds. Really, I feel like it's just not happening. And more so because Newcastle look like they might get Champions League football and that'll satisfy him and it'll bring in the money Newcastle need. So I just don't see it as happening because of the fees involved in the potential deal. Dave said, "I love the Belfast accent." What about you, lad? What about you? Eh? That's my best Jim McDonald impression. What about you, lad? Craig, off topic, but what's your thoughts on De Bruyne leaving City? I'm glad you brought this up now, Matt, because you know my take on Manchester City. I don't have much time for them as a club, but if I sat here and said anything other than Kevin De Bruyne has not been an outstanding addition to the Premier League and has not deserved any praise he gets, I'd be a piece of shit. He's brilliant. He's the next best thing to Steven Gerrard for me that I've seen in the Premier League in midfield. He's absolutely a complete player. He has been a huge part of why Man City have won what they've won. And I don't really have enough adjectives or words to describe his quality. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I wish he was in a Liverpool shirt and certainly not in a Manchester City shirt. But yeah, it's going to be a big loss for the Premier League. Outstanding player that brought a lot to the game and, you know, gave football a lot of jaw-dropping moments. Just an incredibly good footballer. Absence said, "I agree with you. Don't think we should get Osimhen. I'm still skeptical. I'm still, oh God, Craig, the words. I'm still skeptical on how quickly this has come out and how serious we are. But I can absolutely get to a point where I agree that they want to sell him, Napoli. They do, and we knew Galatasaray were never going to be able to afford him long term. So this always seemed like a stopgap move. Is it wrong that I assumed Chelsea would just end up coming in and taking him in the end? Do a Cork accent. Aren't you from Cork? No, I'm not. I was born in Dublin. I grew up in Dublin. And I've lived in Wexford for the last 20 odd years, give or take. 13, 14 in this house and 5 or 6 years in other parts of Wexford. So, no, never been from Cork. And I don't really know too much about the Cork accent other than to throw in the word langer. You a langer boy? That's my best attempt at a Cork accent there. So there you go. But no, I'm not from Cork. David said, I don't believe in an Irish identity. Munster, Leinster, Connacht and Ulster are really diverse, similar to how Italian and German is more of a collection of regional identities. Yeah, I agree, David. I often think, like, for such a small country, geographically as we are, there is such a varied range of accents, dialects, and even in how Irish Gaelic is spoken, you've got different dialects of it. You've got Munster Irish, Connacht Irish, Leinster Irish, Dúnanal Irish. So yeah, I agree. Right, let's check back in on our poll. Nearly up to the 1,000 votes, you absolute legends. So do keep hitting that button if you haven't voted yet. Also, don't forget to drop a like on the stream for me. It is Friday night. Your weekend has officially started. Come on now. Da 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 dum dee 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 da dee da da da. Divock Origi. And on the legend that is Divock, Dr. Ian Graham, who used to be one of our chief statisticians at the club, gave a very interesting take on the whole corner taken quickly scenario. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Dr. Ian Graham said this about that goal. Our video analysts noticed this recurring theme when Barcelona concede a corner. They're more concerned with arguing amongst themselves. Divock had been briefed, look out for a quick corner. And obviously the ball boy and Trent did their part as well. And then Divock Origi was paying attention just like he was advised to. And those little small details, they are the differences between that 4-0 comeback against Barcelona and it not happening. So absolutely tip of the cap to Dr. Ian Graham and his analysts at the time, spotting that Barca sometimes switch off, and the rest, as they say, is history and one of the most iconic moments of the last 25 years as well. Corner taken quickly, Divock sweeps it in, Barcelona, who were arguing amongst themselves, caught napping, and the Reds are true. So well done to Ian Graham and his analysts. Do we see more Dutch players in Arne Slot's team? Said Jorge Castillo. Is it Jorge or George, by the way? Which way am I supposed to pronounce that, sir? I hope not too many. Like, we do have a good Dutch flavour at the club. You've got Virgil, obviously, you've got Cody, you've got Ryan. But I don't like managers returning to their home nation to stock up a team. It always feels a bit lazy to me. And when Ten Lasso was doing it at United, well, you can see what a mess of that he made. So if the right player happens to be Dutch, then no probs. But, you know, you don't want to just focus yourself looking into a market that the manager knows well. And I can't really, like, Haddo, I can see the sense behind. You know, he's a versatile player, can play left side of a back three, can play left centre back, can play left back. So I could see the attraction there. Right age bracket as well. And probably a realistic fee. So we've just gone over 1,000 votes, and it seems most of you guys and girls would be happy. So 51% said that they would be happy with Victor Osimhen as a Darwin Núñez replacement. Second place was 25% of I would prefer somebody else, and I would be in that category. And no was 23%. So basically 51% yes, 49% no to some extent. David said, the differences are because before the British came, Ireland was never a state. As you know, Craig, it was a collection of clans located in the 5 provinces: Munster, Leinster, Meath, Connacht and Ulster. We don't get into talking about the whole British stuff, mate, you know. We don't mention the war. Guilherme said, I heard Kirkes is a done deal. I heard the same thing, but it's not my news, so I don't want to be the one to stand over it. You know, it's not my source, but I said yes, I think it was yesterday. I said, for me right now, yes, it feels like that is the one that would be the closest to us getting a deal done at 45 million quid. And, you know, I looked at it from a few ways to get this confidence. One, well, another competitor we initially had for a left back was United, and they've signed Patrick Dorgu. So you move United aside, City don't really need one, and you're looking around the Prem and thinking, right, who else could really push us? And it just makes sense that it would be us. We know we're interested, we know it's a position we need, and we know roughly the asking price is 40 or 45 million pounds. So I agree. I think it's the most likely of all the names that have been mentioned as of right now. Craig, would you have taken Edgar Davids at Liverpool? Yeah, what a player Edgar Davids was. Absolutely iconic footballer. So, Manchester City, just when you thought maybe the shenanigans had stopped, they said, hang on, motherfuckers, hold my beer. So Matt Lawton of the Times wrote a piece, and the headline of the piece is, Manchester City accuse Premier League of distorting rules in Arsenal's favour. New legal claims submitted by the English champions. Basically, it's to do with ownership funding, I believe, and third-party transactions, or associated party transactions, and they reckon that Arsenal have been able to take more director or owners' loans, and that they've been at a disadvantage, Manchester City. It just feels like they are just determined to just keep throwing grenades into the room and causing issues in the Premier League. Everything seems to be a distraction. More money being thrown at solicitors, and the Premier League having to defend more and more of it. And I think the aim here is to just fatigue everybody. So let's wait and see what happens with it. But we're still awaiting, of course, the ruling on the Manchester City case, which was due any time around now. And we're still waiting to find out when that will be released, and of course what that ruling is. Right, some more stuff, because there is a load to get through tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk unbeaten runs. So the longest unbeaten runs in the Premier League at the moment is, well, it's quite clear who should win the league and who deserves to win it. Liverpool at the minute in the Premier League are on a 26 match unbeaten run. 26. Incredible. Only game we've lost this season was the Forest, obviously, at Anfield. And the next highest unbeaten streak is Arsenal, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. Do you know how many games their unbeaten streaks are? Have a guess. 7, 9, 11, 4. 4. That's it. 4. But we're supposed to believe that Arsenal should be league champions, or that it's a PGMOL title. Liverpool have gone out and bitch slapped it once again. 26 matches unbeaten, only one loss all season, and the next highest ones are Arsenal, Palace, Forest with 4. So there you go. Heavy Metal D said, looks like the Irish guy is going to be going bald at the end of the season. Also, I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, I can't believe I'm still top of that predictions league, by the way. Absolute fluke. But you're right. My 4/5 run was that if I win it, he shaves his head bald. And I mean Craig bald, not like Blade 2. I mean, get yourself down the shop, get yourself a nice Gillette or Harry's razor. Other razors are available. And shave that head bald. Bald. And if he wants me to fly over and do it for him, I'm sure we can make that happen. Always happy to do that from a friend. And he's a good lad. Right. I still find it hilarious, by the way, that I've somehow blagged my way to the top of that league. Got very lucky. Crimbo Slot, how are you? I don't know what's this, going through an ugly. I don't understand this, mate. Sorry, an ugly emp trib. Thanks for tacky. I'm very confused. Sorry, mate. I don't know what that is. Maybe I've it might have gone over my head, but sorry, man. I've no idea how to respond. And also, thank you. 17 months as a member with us as well, which is incredible. Oh, employment tribunal. Is that what it's supposed to be? Going through an ugly employment tribunal. Ouch. Fucking hell, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Look, I wasn't going to really talk about this today, but today's a sad day in our house, because today we found out we won't be able to buy the house we're in. It's a long story that involves lost paperwork, denial, and a demand for an extortionate amount of back rent that we don't believe we owe. And it means we can't buy the house. Because we'd have to pay a very big lump sum in back rent that we don't feel we owe, and we feel we're in the right on. But let me explain to you how it's a pain in the arse. So the sum in question is about €6,700. So if we agree to pay it, which we don't owe it, so we shouldn't, but if we agreed to pay it, the way we'd have to pay that means I'd have to take €14,000 out of the company, lose 52% of that to the government in tax, and I'm not even joking. So if I took 14 grand out of the company, which would, leave a big dent in the company's finances, I would then have to lose over 7 grand of that to the tax man to pay the back rent. So that 6,700 quid back rent would in real world terms be a 14 grand loss to us. And that's on top of obviously having to save the deposit that we've done as well. And they won't even enter into a dialogue with us over it. They're just stonewalling us and being assholes. So yeah, my dream from 8 years ago is over. And it hurts. And I've shed a lot of tears today, and I've unleashed a lot of frustration, and I've a sore foot at the minute from kicking a door, but it is what it is, It is what it is. But yeah, that's why there was no song at the start of the stream, because I have a real heavy heart today. And I feel like I've been kicked in the balls. But it is what it is. We move on. I'm healthy, I'm alive. And we'll see what happens in the future. Maybe this will speed up our move to Spain or something. I don't know. But it's tough, man. Because I'd worked hard to get to this point. So perhaps you can shift your focus on buying a house in sunny Spain. I can't afford it. So there's a couple of things that go against me buying a house. One, my age. I'm 43. So you're talking about a 20-year mortgage max. And if we go to Spain, the problem with me as a non-national going to buy a place in Spain is you can only mortgage 70% of the property. So you have to have a 30% deposit. And let's say you're buying somewhere, even for 250 grand. That's a €75,000 deposit. And I'm not a man who has access to €75,000. So it'll have to be the rental market, which is fine. But today just really sucks. I've been working hard to get to this point. And if I felt we owed that 6.5 grand, I'd pay it. But we don't. And it's disgusting. And I'm not going to be held over a barrel. It's a matter of principle for me. And it's just not happening. So it is what it is. But hey ho. That's life. The broccoli's coming for you at the end of the season. It absolutely is. I'm just trying to figure out how I go about the broccoli thing, because if I do it on here you won't see it because it's a green screen. So I'll probably record a short or something like that, or a TikTok. What's been funny though is you guys, being the lovely people that you are, have been trying to message me and send me creative ways to maybe eat the broccoli. And look, trust me, there ain't going to be one. It's going to be disgusting one way or the other for me. But I'm a man of my word. Duncan, how are you, bro? 1 second, mate. Let me just get your message up on screen. Are you going to live stream yourself eating the broccoli? It'll be videoed, yes. Whether it's live streamed or whether I record it, mate, and stick it up, you'll get to see it, all right, yeah. I might have to do it in a mankini or something, though, just to make you guys suffer at the same time that I'm suffering, So maybe, bit of pain for you, bit of pain for me. There you go. Right, let's talk about Ben Doak for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Football Insider have said that Everton, and we discussed Ben Doak being of interest to Everton the other day. This piece here from Football Insider said Everton are prepared to pay £30 million for Liverpool teenager Ben Doak. And I want to know, would you sell to Everton at £30 million. So I'm going to ask that as the next poll question. Should we sell Doak to Everton? I keep trying to write Everton, but my computer's auto-correcting to blue shy. Right, so the answers are going to be yes, no, anyone but them, or last answer, we should keep him and play him. Right, so should we sell Ben Doak to Everton for 30 million Great British pounds? Yes, no, anyone but them, or no, we should keep him and play him. So let's see what you guys vote away on this one. I'm really intrigued on the Ben Doak situation, because if Arne Slot really doesn't fancy him for the future, £30 million for me would be a very fair number to sell Ben Doak for, based off what he's done, how little he's played in the Premier League, and yes, he's done well at Middlesbrough. I think £30 million, regardless of where it's from, would be an offer that we certainly should be considering as a football club if Arne Slot doesn't want to utilise him, or if Mohamed Salah, let's say, extends and stays. I've always been led to believe that the club never had much of a thought process to keep Ben Doak. He was always going to be sold. So for me, then it comes down to, is it a number that I can live with? And I think £30 million, yes. Tanya said only if Branthwaite is part of the deal. Oh, my, God, I'd love Jared Branthwaite at Liverpool. I would. And I guess maybe if you do start doing some business with them, then maybe that opens up future avenues for these type of deals to be done. Like Anthony Gordon as an example. If Liverpool really wanted him, it would have been nice to have been able to maybe buy him from Everton instead of Newcastle doing it at the time. I honestly, these are the type of things that I don't understand why we don't do more business. Like, if a deal's right for Liverpool and the other club, whether it's Liverpool and United or Liverpool and Everton, I don't see any issue with doing the business. You know, because you're not going to sell a player that you want. So if a buying club wants the player and you're open to selling the player, if the numbers make sense and it's a player that you don't think is really going to come back to haunt you, I don't think it matters where we sell these players to. You know, I don't understand why there's no business done between Liverpool United and Liverpool and Everton. I really understand the history and the rivalries, but you look at other top leagues, you know, you see Inter Milan, AC Milan doing business all the time, so why not? Dave said he wore a mankini once, was 2 sizes too small and 50% was stuck up my arse. There you go, Dave. Well, I don't have an ass, as my wife keeps telling me, so maybe it'll get stuck under my rolls of fat or something instead. I wouldn't want seagulls shite the high on Bramley Dock. Did you see, by the way, that Everton had to put out a statement because Tarkowski was apparently getting threats? Now, on this, right, at what point do we as a society look at these things in two ways? One, of course, no rational, reasonably minded, decent human being is going to send those type of messages. Nobody. I don't know a Liverpool fan that isn't annoyed by the tackle. But I also don't know any Liverpool fan that would go around threatening players or their families. It's low-life scumbag behaviour. But also, sometimes I often wonder, do these things get blown out of proportion? Because if we were to look at anybody's DMs, especially on the likes of an Instagram, there's so many shitty comments in there that we all get threatened, abused and blah, blah, blah. And it's not nice, and it shouldn't happen to footballers, but I feel like these assholes aren't football fans of any club. I feel like they're just low-life assholes that think they can get away with stuff online that they can't. And I want them taught their lessons, and I never want any football player to be the end of this type of behaviour. But it's almost entirely predictable now. And the more it gets highlighted as something that is happening, I almost feel it encourages more of this behaviour rather than stops it. Coming down on these people like a ton of bricks is what should stop it. Social media companies banning these accounts immediately and them being reported to the police is what should be happening. But it always ends up that one club's fans look like scumbags. And in this case, obviously, it's Tarkowski getting this threat, so it's coming back looking bad on Liverpool fans. And in other instances, of course, it'll be other clubs' fans. But it's just so unnecessary and so idiotic that anybody resorts to that shit. And first and foremost, these lads are professional athletes who I'm sure can handle themselves. So if anybody wants to act like Billy Big Bollocks and threaten these lads, well, go up and do it to their face and see how you get on. Because most of these lads are big lumps of fellas and I'm sure can handle themselves and would put these snotty-nosed little scumbags in their place. Latif said, don't deal with the enemy, fear of him coming good. Yeah, I get that as well, mate, but it's Everton. Do you know what I mean? There's no fear of them coming good anytime soon, Latif, my man. No fear of it. Ninmoy, how are you, bro? See, I've been remembering to get the name right. I'm alright, man. I'm alright. Thank you. Crimbo Slot said, I feel it's black or white, but no middle ground to have a laugh. Yeah, look, by all means, tell someone he's a shithouse. But nobody deserves to be threatened. But also, I just think social media companies need to do their share here and start actually bringing in things to stop people repetitively just getting banned, opening new accounts, getting banned, opening new accounts, and acting in this way. How's your weight loss going? Looks like you're losing a decent bit of weight. Thank you. I haven't weighed myself since I've come home from holidays, David, for fear of standing on the old scales. But I'm feeling alright, you know. Long way to go, but bit by bit, my man, bit by bit. And I thank you for your kind words, man. It's really appreciated. Right, let's talk Murillo for a second. By the way, am I the only one who, when we talk about Murillo, hears Jason Derulo in their mind? Because every time I talk about Murillo, I just hear Jason Derulo's in my head. Right, anyway, sorry, to get back to football. Chelsea and Liverpool are both competing to sign Murillo this summer. Tell me you didn't just hear Jason Derulo there. Come on, be honest, in your head. It was Jason Derulo. That's exactly how he sounds as well, by the way. So don't be fucking at me. You thought he was in the room there. Be honest with yourself. However, Nottingham Forest are desperate to keep the Brazilian, said Football Insider. What do we think of Murillo? I don't know if he'd have the pace to play our system. I do think he has the physicality. I don't have his aerial stats to hand, but I think he'd be okay in that regard as well. But is he good enough for Liverpool? I'd be open to it, but for the right number. And if Nottingham Forest are going to get Champions League, which it looks like they are, again, they won't be in a position where they want to sell there. And the players probably won't be in a position where they feel like they need to leave that season because they got Champions League football to look forward to. So I'd rather we look and go all in for a Huijsen, who we know has a £50 million release clause and would be far simpler, in my opinion, if you can win the battle to convince the player. Jonesy lad said Murillo won't go anywhere if they win the Champions League, or if they get in the Champions League. Interesting though, on Aina, we spoke about this the other day. Lots of people thinking that his deal's up at the end of the year, which it is, but Forest have the option to extend that by another year, which I fully expect that they'll be doing if they get into the Champions League. Tanya said Murillo's a unit but can't see him leaving. Nin Moy said I'd be happy with Murillo as a backup. Yeah, but if they're going to ask 70 or 80 million quid, that's not backup money, is it, to be fair? Joshua said he's more suited in the low block, but he is brilliant for sure. Hoyson's still my choice though, as is mine, mate. I'm right with you on that one. Hoyson, maybe Hato. The Hincapié one is an interesting one. Anybody who watched the late night video last night, we spoke about Piero Hincapié. I'm going to get the story up here. So Sport, who are a Spanish publication, I believe a Catalan-based publication, but I might be wrong on that. Liverpool, Spurs and Manchester United are seen as potential barriers for Real Madrid, who are looking to splash £85 million worth of deals this summer with Bournemouth's Dean Hoyson and Leverkusen's Piero Hincapié on all 4 clubs' lists this summer. So Hincapié is the one I really want to discuss here, because Hoyson we've covered many times on the channel. But Hincapié, I don't know. I could see a world where if Alonso ends up at Leverkusen or leaving Leverkusen for Madrid and he wants to take a centre-back with him who he knows and trusts, then maybe. But for us, I mean, again, I got back to if the manager wants him, fair enough, and I guess he could probably play in a couple of positions on the back line, but I'd prefer Hoyson. So what do you guys think on Hincapié? Do you believe it, or do you think it's just more media gobbledygook? He's not really a left back. He plays left of a back 3. So he's a left centre back in a back 3 system. Which again would be another reason why I'd be thinking, well, he's not used to the system that we play, is he? If he's playing left side of a back 3 in a 3-5-2 or whatever system they play. Eastby, how are you, bro? Hi, Craig. It's my mate's 24th soon. He's a United fan. Can you wish him happy birthday whilst taking the piss out of United? Right, give me a second here. Nathan, I hear it's your birthday, my man. You're turning 24. So firstly, congratulations. But celebration, right? You go out, you celebrate for your birthday, have a piss up, have a good day. You're probably not used to that being a United fan. But if you need any instructions on how to celebrate, your friends in Manchester City issued their own fans with such a booklet on how to celebrate. So maybe you can cross over to that. But either way, have a great birthday and look forward to many, many more years of misery supporting the Red Shy. Much love, bro. There you go. Hope that worked, my man. And happy birthday to the gentleman. To be honest, said Dark Ruby, I think Ben Doak can be a good understudy to Salah. Look, so do I. But that's not what I've been told is going to be the scenario. So I feel like it's either another loan or he's sold. And at this point, if the club have made up their mind that he's not ready to come in and play, or that he's not going to be the future, sell. Sell, especially if you can get 30 million for a player who I think, what did we pay for him when he came in? Was it 500 grand? Or was it higher than that? I'm trying to remember, because Calvin Ramsey came in from Aberdeen, and I can't remember whether Ben Doak was like 1.5 million or 500,000, but I know he was cheap. Ninmoy said Hincapié would be like Lovren 2.0. Oh, don't bring back Degsy too. Oh no, can't stick with another Degsy, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't be convinced for me on Hincapié. I'd rather Hoyson or Hato, who is a left back that can play left side of a centre back pairing as well, or many other options actually, to be honest with you, but not Hincapié for me. Sabrina, do you think Hincapié can play left side centre back? Sabrina says he can, so there you go. Is Murillo any good? No.
No, I don't know any other one.
Centre back for Nottingham Forest. I knew I'd catch you out with that one. Mark said Doak was 710k euros. So yeah, about £500,000 then. So yeah, £500,000, couple of loans, bit of coaching, and now we're talking about possibly 30 million. I'd say that's good business. Jonesy lad said, Nkapie only 23 too, thought he was older. Do you know what? I would have thought he was older as well, mate. So, you know, the one that got me the most though was Brian Mbeumo. I was fully sure he was 27 or 28. But yeah, 23. Yeah, something about him. So, do you think we need a centre-back at the minute? That's another question here. So, if we go through the positions Cara was speaking about, left back, centre-back, defensive midfielder, creative midfielder, left winger and striker. They're the 6 positions that Jamie Carragher thinks Liverpool need to strengthen in. Thoughts on that? I agree on the centre-back. I think we need to bring in somebody because I'm not 100% convinced on Kwanzaa. I don't know if Arna is 100% convinced on Kwanzaa. And I'll be interested to see if a real stern offer comes in from Newcastle. What we will do around Kwanzaa. You know, if they got anywhere close to the £60 million valuation that apparently we had on him, I mean, he's not a £60 million centre-back for me. And this season we've only seen him used fleetingly. So I'm unsure what to do on that one. So for me, I'd keep him if he wants to stay, and I'd maybe sell Gomez and bring in a Huijsen or somebody. But I do want us to get that centre-back, a younger centre-back. Doak and 40 million for Branthwaite. Sign me up for that one, mate. Because real world cost there to us would have been about 41 million then. So yes, I would happily take that one. Guilherme said Xavi Simons, EKITIKE, Kirkes and Fofana. Yeah, Simon's name was thrown around last week quite a bit. Didi Hamann, I think, was bigging up the idea of Xavi Simons as well to Liverpool. I've never been convinced by him. So look, this summer is just so up in the air for me that it's going to be really interesting. Alex Crook said that Victor Gyökeres is open to a move to Arsenal. The Gunners are set to open talks with Sporting Lisbon after identifying the Swedish player as a more attainable option than Isak. He is understood to be impressed with the Arsenal project. So they said to him, look, we're not going to win that, and he was impressed with it. So there you go. Come to us. We're going to finish second or third in the league every year. Arteta is going to probably turn you into a left back. And he said, fucking sign me up for that. Me love me a bit of Lego. So there you go. Gyökeres could be heading to Arsenal. As basically a watered down version of Isak, who they can't afford. Paul said no left winger unless Lucho leaves. I agree. If somebody moves on, yes, left winger. But right now, no need. But I do wonder what is going to happen with Lucho, Paul, this summer. Right, ladies and gents, really quickly, again, just want to play a little reminder that you can come along and see one of our 2 live shows at the end of the season. On the last day of the season, May 25th, I'm going to be at the Hot Water Comedy Club for a solo show and a little bit of work during the day as well. Can't really go into too much detail on it yet as it's not fully confirmed of the during the day stuff, but I'll be doing a live show at 7:30. If you want to come and see myself, Chris, Connor, Jack and Steve all together for a reunion show, we're doing one 3 days later on May the 28th, both at the Hot Water Comedy Club. Both of them you can get your tickets to by scanning that QR code or the link in the description of this stream and pinned to the top of the chat. I'm going to try, said Crimbo Slot. Well, I hope you can come along, mate. I'm buzzing for both of them. I mean, to be in Liverpool last day of the season when we get the Premier League trophy, to be on stage at 2 different parts of the day, the Hot Water, one in the main area, which anyone who's been to the venue will know what I'm talking about, and then my own show that night as well. I can't wait, buzzing. And then to be on stage with the boys 3 days later, it's going to be brilliant. I'm so looking forward to that week, to be in Liverpool twice. We're interested in every player from the Netherlands at this point, said Steve. Yeah, look, there's only a handful I'd really take that we've been linked with from the Netherlands, to be honest with you. Trent. Let's talk Trent for a second, because, again, coming out of Madrid, they say that Real Madrid are now targeting a new centre-back and controlling midfielder after sealing a deal for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And that comes from Defensa Central. It looks like they're going to make a move for Zubamendi from what I'm seeing and reading. So I guess the question is going to be, have Arsenal really got him all sewn up? Or are Real Madrid going to be able to flutter their eyelashes and get Zubamendi to change his mind once again and go and play the Santiago Bernabeu? If Xavi Alonso becomes their new coach, I think it's almost nailed on because, you know, that's his idol. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm still waiting for this confirmation around Trent, as all of you guys are. It's becoming, quite frankly, annoying at this point. Did you see the video with Virgil? I think he was doing a Cadbury's Q&A or something like that. And somebody asked him, and he seemed very, very, very relaxed and very upbeat about his situation. And again, reiterated that he loves Liverpool, loves the city, loves the fans. And it very much came across in the little clip, although he did not say this, it comes across like he thinks he's going to stay. Certainly that's how I felt watching the clip. And if we do get that news that him and Mo are staying in the next week or two, I mean, happy days. Celebrate that as we should. Crimbo Slot said, my son is non-verbal. He's 10 and he gets autism from me. Do you think we'll be okay? Absolutely. I will make sure you're okay. I will make sure you're okay. And you know what, mate? I'd like to sort out the tickets for you if you want to come as a present for your son. You know, autism is important to me. My own son's autistic. Heck, I'm autistic. So if you guys would like to come, your son is 10. It'd be my pleasure to sort the tickets out for you. If you want to drop me an email, bud, we'll sort them out. Make sure you and your son can come in. If you want to come in early, get settled, anything like that. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We'll help you out. We'll make sure you can get in early. I totally understand if there's any sensory issues that you need sorting out with, or your son needs a particular spot in the room that he prefers or likes. Man, I'll help you out in any way I can. So yeah.
It's the 25th, I'll be there as well.
And as my wife just said, if it's the 28th show on the Wednesday, she'll be there, as will my daughter. So, you know, we'll have plenty of people that can help you out. And I know the venue are brilliant about this type of stuff as well. So, anything we can do, my man, to make that more comfortable experience for you and your young lad, just let us know. Happy to help. Ninmoy said, did you see Trent waiting by the tunnel as the players came off a full time, giving high fives and stuff? Mo kind of just brushed off. No, I didn't see that clip, mate. No. Look, I've no doubt Trent was happy with the lads winning the Merseyside derby. No doubt about that whatsoever. I just want to know what the hell's happening there, you know. So Crimbo Slot, if you want to email me or at any point, mate, and there's no rush, you can take your time on it. The offer's an open-ended one that'll be there for you right up until the day. If you want to come along, just drop me an email, contact@AnfieldAgenda.com, contact@AnfieldAgenda.com at any point, mate, and I'll sort that out for you, no probs. Paul said, do you think Trent will be on the open top bus parade? Methinks not. I think he will. I just wonder how much longer this situation is going to be dragged out. Because you seen, or maybe you didn't see, some of the signs that were doing the rounds before the Merseyside derby, talking about, you know, pick what side you want to be on. The history here, Trent. He's every right to be on the open top bus, by the way. You know, I'm going to be hurt if he leaves, 100%. But he has been a part of our success, and he deserves to be celebrating that success. I don't like the way this is all working out and the way he's going to go, and I'll never ever change my mind on that. But he deserves to be on that bus, and he deserves the medal around his neck, and he deserves to be celebrated along with the rest of the team for what he's done this season and in his career at Liverpool. Ben Barrett, hope you're well, bro. You said you have a busy evening ahead. Are you on a promise, Ben? Are you on a promise? Huh? Let us know. And no problem, Crimbo Slot, mate. You've been a great supporter of our channel, mate. Been with us for a long, long time. It's the very least I can do. I think I've done that one. Max Kumsky, sorry, it's this one I'm bringing up. Happy to the Macca challenge should have been a red. 100%. 100% should have been a red, mate. It's not even a debate in my eyes. And do you know what? To be fair, the amount of pundits and stuff that have come out and said, yes, it should have been a red. You know, Henry Winter that night, immediately on Sky, came out when I was watching and said that it was a disgraceful decision, should have been a red. So at least the world is backing our thought process up on this one. But again, not much around the situation with Tierney. And I was watching, again, Sky Sports back pages last night. And I think, I'm trying to figure out which journalist this was. I think it was Jonathan Liu. Apologies if I'm wrong. I think it was Jonathan Liu. And he was talking about the amount of times that the PGMOL have to come out and apologise. And basically saying, where's the punishment? You know, where's the fallout for any of these officials? So if a manager comes out and does badly, he's sacked. If a player performs badly, he's dropped. If a manager does something wrong and the FA want to fine them, as we've seen with Slot and others, they do. But every time the PGMOL have to come out for any club with an apology, that seems to be it. Lessons will be learned and we move on. No, sorry. That doesn't wash. There's been too many apologies. And I don't mean just to Liverpool, I mean in general. And these fuckers need to be held to account. Because that decision from Paul Tierney was not even a debate. And he, at best, was a dereliction of duty. And I highlighted before the game that I was concerned about him on VAR. And right like clockwork, when there is a decision to be made that would have benefited us, no dice. And apologies aren't good enough. Because he's not banned going forward. We don't get any help with the apology. It means fucking nothing. It's empty. And lessons will be learned? Really? I don't see them lessons being learned either. It's just another apology, exactly, Madeni, with no consequences. And I think football fans in general are fed up with the PGMOL and the fact that they seem to be untouchable. Look, I've never been somebody who gets in the whole corrupt anti-Liverpool, they have a thing against us. No, I just think that they're not very good. And I do think, whether people want to admit this or not, that certain referees do have inbuilt dislikes of certain clubs from their time refereeing or the instances that have happened. Again, I'm going to come back to human nature. We can talk about these guys being professional all you want. So the examples are, these guys are always professional, it's a tough job. Right, so why was David Coo hoovering up lines of coke off a table in a hotel room? Not really professional behaviour, is it? So we can't keep thinking that every single one of these officials are all angels. They're not. There are going to be some bad actors, bad characters, and they need to be wheeled out. And Tierney is one of them, who is shocking. Devon said, I think it's at least a yellow for Pickford, possibly a red, because it looked intentional. Yet again, Pickford gets away with a swing and a kick to the knee of one of our players. And this whole shit about, well, the whistle went beforehand, should be irrelevant. Because if the referee blows for a foul, I then can't go and stand on the player's head and go, no, ref, you've already blown for the foul, so, can't be getting me for that one. That's not how it works. And he was able to book Darwin for rolling back onto the pitch. So where was the yellow card for Pickford? Again, it's just, this shit is just too consistent. Tarkowski's now had 63 or 64 yellow cards and never been sent off. And I'm not trying to say Tarkowski's a particularly dirty lad or anything. I don't know him. But that was a red card challenge. And an apology's not good enough. There needs to be some actual change of direction in the PGMOL and some real transparency, and they need to be asked tough questions, not the Michael Owen mic'd up circle jerk nonsense that goes on. Jason said it takes a broken leg to even consider doing something about it, and he also said same for Pickford challenge and Darwin made me angry. Yep. Paul said, do you think the team will be unchanged for Sunday against Fulham? Well, obviously the goalkeeper situation, I'm still not 100% certain what's happening there. I recorded the preview for the Fulham game, which is coming out at 10 a.m. And in my preview, I put Carragher in goal because I haven't yet got a clarification that Alisson's ready to go. So apart from that, no, I think we probably pretty much go the same. Be interesting to see if he does go Jones at right back again, or if he thinks that Jarrell can come in and do a job. And again, sticking with Jota through the middle, I mean, you do stick with the hot hand, I guess, and he did score. So, you know, we know he's not going to play Chiesa from the start. So, yeah, I think pretty close to the same team. David Wells, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, David, and thank you for your support. Maybe Gakpo for Lucho. So, normally I would say yeah, but I think Luis Diaz had too good of a game to even consider dropping him. You know, I think he was brilliant. You know, I think he was our best player against Everton, so I wouldn't be dropping him, but I also do totally have faith and understand the idea of playing Cody Gakpo, because I also really like Cody Gakpo. It's one position that I'm very comfortable in as a Liverpool fan. I like both the lads on left wing, so I'm easy, whichever one. But, again, keeping the hot hand, I thought Diaz played really, really well. Is Chiesa staying, Craig, or are we selling him, said Connor Mullen. Well, the report today, Connor, said his plans are to stay. So, Christian Falk said, Federico Chiesa is not looking to leave Liverpool in the summer. The Italian wants to fulfill his contract at Anfield, which runs for 3 more years, and is determined to prove his worth to Liverpool. So, let's wait and see. It can't be one of these situations, though, where the manager doesn't want him and he just sits there. We can't carry a £7 million a year player in wages and a transfer fee and a squad place. If the manager wants to start utilising them properly, I think we're all very much open to Fede staying, but we're going to have to see the manager wants them. Sugar Saint, how are you, bro? Said, by nature, a ref is a football man. No football man grows up without innate bias for or against clubs. See, these are the things, mate, that common sense people will talk about, and human nature comes into it. But what we get told is these lads all happen to be fans of low down the tier teams. Isn't that a fucking coincidence? Altrincham fans and whatnot. And you're right. You get into refereeing because you probably weren't good enough to play football at a high level and you wanted to be in and around the sport. And that's admirable. But you also, as you said, if we're having a grown-up conversation here, do have probably some biases. And that's natural. So I don't think anybody's trying to say that these things are not human nature. But to say that they don't exist, I think, is just being unrealistic as well from the PGMOL or some of the pundits. There is going to be some referees that just, for whatever reason, don't like clubs or don't like particular managers or players. Same way, there's going to be managers that don't like particular referees. So, again, if we can have open, honest conversations about them, then maybe we can start to find some resolutions. But this burying their heads in the sand and thinking everybody is angels and professional and how dare you question credibility, again, it's just not being honest about what's happening. V. Aaron, hey Craig, you hunk of a man. Thank you. Just want to start, share my opinion on Trent. No, we've got to go back to the hunk of a man bit for a minute, mate, here. Sorry. I think Real Madrid talking to players with 2-3 years left on the contract needs to be stopped. That's what the final 6 months are for. It's a joke. Look, again, we got to be honest and say tapping up happens in football. It happens for you. It happens against you. And the part that annoys me about this is, look, Real Madrid are going to do Real Madrid. They're going to look after their interests. They're going to start tapping up players. They're going to do what clubs do. But my annoyance by this one, VR, has been either the naivety of us as a club to think that Trent's loyalty is so much that he won't entertain it, and then to see the contract being run down in front of our eyes over the last 2 years with excuse after excuse as to why he doesn't want to negotiate it or why it hasn't been resolved, I think is worrying. Because you can understand the Virgil and the Mo one. You can, as fans, understand why Liverpool wanted to take a pause or look at the numbers for Mo and Salah, Mo and Virg, because of their ages. Now, we might have our own opinions on whether we think they have 2, 3 or 4 more years left in them, but we could understand the club taking their time and thinking on it. Can't understand it with Trent. They've allowed the situation to develop. They're allowing a homegrown £80 million footballer that would have been all profit if you sold him to march out the door for free. And in no world has any journalist or pundit that I've seen describe the situation explained an upside to that for Liverpool. So, yeah, it's hugely frustrating. Wesley Ebner said David Koo proved the bias. And even with that, mate, they kept trying, didn't they? You know, the Nevilles of this world and all, they kept talking about it being something we're all fucking imagining. And, you know, he looked drunk in the video, said Neville, when every single one of us thought, no, Neville, it wasn't drunk he looked, mate. Any of us who've been around anybody who has partaken in a couple of lines of, you know, the Devil's Dust knew that wasn't a drunk face. So, yeah, again, we've got to be honest and think these people are human. So, yes, they're going to have the same human flaws, insecurities, and conscious or subconscious biases that other people have. Mr. Roberticus, how are you, bro? Said, evening, Craig. Hope you're doing well. Going to be buying tickets to the Sunday show tomorrow. Nice one. This is what could happen on that day. And I say could happen because it hasn't been fully finalised by the venue yet. But the day could look a lot like this. They open up at 11 a.m. They're going to have 20 screens around the venue. They're going to have a 5 metre wide giant screen. They're going to have, I think, some drink promotions. They're going to have potentially a former player that I will be interviewing on stage, free for everybody, I believe, before the game. Then they're going to show the game on the big screens and all the screens around it. While that's happening, the game's on, I'll be doing my watch along in a private area to everybody who normally tunes in for a watch along. Then after that, we'll be back out for the celebrations, the trophy lift and all the other stuff. And then at 7:30, the ticketed event, which is our show, starts in one of the theatres. So it is going to be an incredible day to be around other Liverpool fans. The owner of the venue was telling me that they had about 1,500 people in for the League Cup final against Newcastle. So you can only imagine what fun it's going to be in the hot water, with great food, great drink options, hopefully a good show in the evening, a former player or so, and being surrounded by Liverpool fans all celebrating the league title. It's going to be a great day. And then for the Wednesday show as well, me, Chris, Steve, Jack, Connor, all together for one night. I'm buzzing, man. What a week. Devil's Dandruff, I hate that shite. Not my cup of tea either, mate. You know, I've never been somebody who was partaking in it. I'm more of a herbal infusion kind of guy. Connor Mullen said, do you actually think there was something in Chiesa's contract for him to not have so many minutes? No, not at all. No. A player's going to want to play, and I've no doubt that Fede wants to play. We were told for a long time that it was going to be, you know, his fitness that needed to be sorted out, and that would take time, which makes sense. But then as the season went on and the fitness couldn't have been an excuse anymore, then we start hearing about, you know, repetition and minutes, and you're not going to get them unless the manager plays you. So I don't know, man, that whole situation's weird, and I just want, again, us to go into a season not looking at the bench and going, well, the manager won't play him and he won't play him, and this guy's a young lad and blah blah blah. Want to look to the bench and go, right, if we need somebody to come on and change this game, well, the bench is stacked with options to do that. And if the manager isn't going to play the likes of an Elliott or Chiesa, then what's the point? What's the point in taking up a squad place with them? It doesn't matter what you or I think. You know, I like Chiesa, I love Elliott, but if the manager doesn't want to give them minutes, it's just a waste of squad places and a waste of time and resources. Ryan, how are you, bro? Said, hi Craig, if Arsenal lose or draw, do our wins need to get reduced? Because if Arsenal don't win the next 3, it could be done mid to late April. Absolutely. As it sits, technically, we need 4 more wins and a draw to guarantee it. Realistically, the 4 wins will be enough with the goal difference we have. Now, if Arsenal drop any points between now and then, and we keep winning, yep, of course. The earliest, potentially, I think Spurs, or the Chelsea game, looks like one where a lot of people are talking about it could be done that day. I don't know what to expect from Arsenal over the next few weeks. They've got Champions League games. They've just lost Gabriel for the rest of the season. So I expect them to drop more points. Wouldn't be inconceivable that they go to Goodison and 12:30 kickoff on Saturday and maybe drop a point or 2. So let's wait and see what happens there. But it's just a matter of when at this point. We are winning the league and it's just going to be countdown to when we get it done, and the best way we can do it is just keep winning our games and take it out of everybody else's hands. David Welch said, love your support on autism. Always, man. There's 2 things I'm going to speak up about and support all the time, and that's mental health and autism awareness. And the reason autism awareness is obviously so important to me is before my son was diagnosed and then I was diagnosed, I didn't know anything about autism. You know, I'd be one of those ignorant people who would have seen maybe a child in a supermarket acting up and putting it down to bad behaviour. But then, of course, as I became more educated on the subject, I learned about, you know, sensory issues and stuff like that. So anything that we can do to broaden awareness, or at the very least on the shows that we do, to make people who are on the autism spectrum or who have sensory issues feel more comfortable, it's the least that I can do. So we've had people before who we've allowed to come in early, get settled in, and feel comfortable in the surroundings before we let the rest of the audience in. And look, I'm glad that the world's becoming more aware of the needs of people who have sensory issues or on the spectrum. And I've seen what a difference to mine and my son's life it's all made. So, you know, happy to always help if I can. Chanceleta Mohada, I hope I pronounced that one okay. I don't like Slot's stubbornness. Klopp was stubborn but earned the right by winning the lot. I like Slot, but why would he think Darwin is still the better option? So I think, to be fair, Arne's about to earn a little bit of a right as well by winning the league in his first season. I get what you mean about the stubbornness, but I'm willing to overlook it this season until he gets the squad that he's happy with. And once we get a couple of transfer windows where Arne's been backed and brings in 3, 4, 5 of his guys, then I don't want stubbornness, and then I don't want favouritism, and then I'll be a lot more critical of a lack of rotation, let's say. So I'm willing to let him put his squad together in the mould that he wants, but I do understand where you're coming from on the stubbornness. But I think every manager to a certain extent has certain things. For instance, I love that Arne Slot is so regimental on work rate and effort required to be in the team. I love that. Denny said, I hope Chiesa and Elliott get their opportunities and amass some credit in Slot's eyes, just like Endo did, but Slot needs to give them minutes for that. Even if we win the league early, we get that. Yeah. It's going to be really sad if Elliott leaves for me. You know, but I'm going to look at that situation, with a heavy heart, because I personally really, really was rooting for Harvey Elliott to do well. But I respect the manager's decisions, and I just want the manager to have a squad of players he's happy with, and then it's up to the manager and his coaches to succeed. Crimbo Slot said, I want the Dutch kid Haddo. Yep, lots of reasons to like Jarell Haddo. Age, price, club he's coming from. Obviously Ajax, the proven talent creators or developers, so let's wait and see. I just want this window to be one that we are prepared for, that we move quickly in, and that we aren't sitting around here still talking about what we hope happens halfway through the window. We need to be decisive. We need to show that the club have been working on stuff over the course of the season, preparing for this window. Ninmoy said, the thing is, Harvey actually does well when he gets the chance. I agree. I think he gives us another option. I think he's one of the best players that we have of finding pockets of space and quickening up the tempo of our build-up and our attack. So I agree with you 100%. But again, I think it was very telling that he didn't get a look in once again against Everton. And it must be frustrating for him because we know what Liverpool means to Harvey Elliott. Like, he's a red like the rest of us. Ryan, good to hear about your experiences with autism. I have it as well, and I remember going to Anfield and staff were very helpful. Well done. So for me, mate, I always had a problem with hearing competing noises. So if the TV's on and someone's listening to their phone over here and my wife's trying to talk to me, I can't really differentiate those noises. It all sounds like one competing noise that physically hurts me. And there are other things like that I just thought was because I was an anxious person. But when I was diagnosed and I found it was part of my Asperger's, it made sense. And my son had a lot of hearing sensory issues as well. And I'm learning to see the things that make his life a bit easier and happier. It's been great to see as well. So, and look, yeah, football clubs are certainly becoming way more aware in these situations, supermarkets and lots of other places as well. And look, it's all about just making people who have some sensory issues or additional needs more comfortable in their surroundings and their environment, and giving them the same peacefulness and happiness that the rest of us can go through our daily lives pretty much having. And if we can do that, job done. Sugar Saint said, maybe Slot is pushing the Salah because by not subbing him regarding new contract records, etc. Look, he wants Mo to stay. He came out and said it. You want Mo to stay. I want Mo to stay. We all want Mo to stay. And when the manager says that he wants Mo and Virgil to stay, then I think the club should listen and get the deals done. Josh Black said, I started going to psychotherapy sessions for anxiety. So, mate, I've gone through 7 or 8 medications, 5, 6 different psychiatrists, therapies, and for the longest time, I thought my anxiety was going to be something that there's going to be a eureka moment. So, you know, you grow up and you're watching TV and stuff, and you see people lying down on a psychiatrist's couch, and then they find the moment that triggers this anxiety. So I always thought there'd be a silver bullet, and someday we'd figure it out, and then it'll be gone. But one of the upsides of my diagnosis was that I learned that the anxiety was a part of me and there was no one root cause of it. And once I learned that it was just a part of who I am, I stopped feeling so anxious about the anxiety, and I just realised it's a part of me and it is just who I am. And when I started to understand that, it took a bit of pressure off my shoulders looking for the solution, because there wasn't one, if that makes sense. What was the news about Osimhen? So there was a couple of bits and pieces. Sky Sports reported that Victor Osimhen is a player that Liverpool have admired for some time. And then there was another one second, that Fabrizio Romano said Napoli want to sell Osimhen as soon as possible and English clubs are interested. So, yeah, they're the two main talking points about it. Then we have an exclusive from our friend Bence Bochak of Anfield's... Who's he work for? Anfield Watch. Sorry, Anfield Watch. Shout out to the lads at Anfield Watch. And Ben's put out an exclusive, and he said, exclusive, Liverpool and 2 other Premier League clubs held talks with Hugo EKITIKE's representatives last week. Liverpool scouts have tracked him for a while. He's one of Liverpool's options to replace Darwin Núñez. So I would feel personally like he's more of a Liverpool type of signing than Osimhen. Now, I don't know an awful lot about both of them, but I know Benz has his finger on the pulse, and I'm excited that maybe we are starting to make the tentative steps now. And if this is true and we've already held talks, brilliant. That's good news, and hopefully more things come of that. I like it. You stand up for mental health and autism. And do you think ADHD too? I don't know too much about ADHD, to be honest. I don't have it. My son doesn't have it, or ADD. But I think it's a double-edged sword. So when I speak about mental health, and I'm proud to, I open up fully and I speak about the situations that I've been through with alcoholism in my family, and my parents dying, and my mum taking her own life, my dad drinking himself to death. And I'm happy to talk about these things and open up about it. But the double-edged sword for me has been like that scumbag the other day that came in and started saying things like your mum should be a paracetamol advert and stuff like that, you know. So you try to be vulnerable and open up about these things to try to let people know that it's okay to need help. It's okay to put your hand out and ask for a helping hand in life when you're struggling. It happens to a lot of us. But it does hurt then when people use that same honesty about something as painful as my mum's suicide to try and have a pop at me. Like, it's sick. And they're the situations that I really get wound up, because I have no way to resolve that situation. If he was in front of me, I would slap the shit out of him for saying that. But hiding behind a keyboard somewhere, what can I do about it? But again, I'd be a liar if I said it doesn't get into my head, because it does. Because I'm fair game. I'm here to be judged or ridiculed or have an opinion about. But my family are off limits. I only open up about these things to try and help other people who might be struggling, to show that, look, times can be difficult, but if you keep going, keep working towards it, keep believing in yourself, things can change. Better days can be ahead, and they are. So these fuckers need, this is what I was talking about earlier on with social media, and we were talking about the Tarkowski threats and stuff that he's getting. Social media companies can't keep sticking their fingers in their ears and allowing this shit to happen. You know, they have the technology that can tell me within 2 seconds if I've used a bit of copyright content because it hurts their back pockets. But they can't sort this shit out for millions of content creators around the world who are, and famous people who are being threatened, ridiculed, mocked. We're all fair game. You know, that it pisses me off, quite frankly. And it's one of the reasons why you'll see people leave social media, or people like having to go behind member only chat like we did on the channel. I don't want to do member only chat. I want to be able to talk to everyone. I want everyone to be able to talk back. But I have to protect myself. And I came off social media 3 years ago. Like, I don't have a Twitter account. I don't have an Instagram account. I don't have a TikTok account. The company does, but I don't run any of them because I think social media is horrible. And I'm a better person and a happier person when I'm not on there. Milo said, as an autistic person myself, I always overthink. 100%. And obsess. I think it's part of who we are. You know, I'm an obsessive person on certain things. I'm not talking about obsessive from the point of view of I love this girl and I can't let it go. I mean, I dwell on things too much. Censorship is lame. No, it's not. Censorship is important because people shouldn't have freedom from consequences. Everybody can say what they like. But there needs to be also an understanding that you have the freedom to say what you want, but you aren't free from the consequences of what you say. And this censorship is lame bollocks is absolute nonsense. Now, it's gone too far the other way in some things. You know, I get wound up by what people would call woke stuff a lot of the time. I think people can be too soft on certain things. But censorship is needed, in my opinion. And to say censorship is lame is very, what would I say, wide-ranging. Like it's just a blanket statement. I don't think there's any room in your thought process there for what's the word I'm looking for? Not fluidity, nuance. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, these things aren't always black and white. Most situations are nuanced. JL said, mods, bans, mutes solve the problem. Don't let YouTube do it for you. No, it doesn't. It doesn't solve the problem. So, just for stake here, mate, I'm a YouTuber. I'm not sure if you are, but let's just assume you aren't. So I'm a YouTuber who's been doing this for 8 years. I have plenty of moderators, plenty of muted words, but if somebody wants to come through and be an asshole, they'll find ways to do it. And your simplistic view of it is, quite frankly, horseshit. And my real world lived experience as somebody who gets 5 million views a month and many, many comments is far removed from how simple you think it is to moderate this stuff. And also, another thing I'd like you to consider is moderators, when they're doing what you said, which is looking at the chat, dealing with these assholes over and over again, they're not enjoying their experience. And they're not enjoying their time in the community, and they're not enjoying the watch-alongs or the games that they're doing. They're fully focused on trying to help me out at the expense of their own enjoyment. So, again, you sound like somebody who's never been on the receiving end of it. Because sometimes you can brush it off and sometimes you can't. But I think you're not speaking from lived experience. LFC Love said, mental health is so important. I'm far from an expert, but I worked in mental health for 11 years, acute inpatients, community recovery services and forensic services. I'm free to chat. Yeah, it's something that I think the easiest way I always say it is, if you had a broken arm and someone seen you, they'd know. And they go, geez, are you all right? Or what happened there? But if you're carrying around something internally that's maybe getting you down or playing on your mind, you can see that. Right, so I always have this little simple thing of when I go out or I'm in a supermarket or a restaurant or anywhere, I always try to make someone smile, because I know when I'm in a tough place that somebody even saying something that makes me laugh can change my day, or bringing a smile to my face can change my outlook. So I try to do those little things with others, because you never know what's gone through someone's mind. I'm an admin on a social media platform that will send half of you into the fetal position. So what I'm hearing there is, Mr. Smart Arse, you haven't got the talent to not be the admin. So you're coming in, JL, and you're trying to undermine me, everybody else, and make out like anybody who is in any way offended by anything is a snowflake. You would fucking crawl and fail if you lived through what I lived through in life. And I mean that sincerely. You don't have the stones for what I've been through in life. And when you watch your father take his last breath in front of you because of alcoholism from your parents separating, and you watch your mother have suicide attempts and die because she was sexually abused by a member of her family growing up that you only found out about later, when you become homeless, when you have over 100 grand in debt at one point, then come back and talk to me about not being able to cope with shit. Because I lived through all of that, homelessness, debt, sadness, pain, hurt, and I'm here with a channel with 305,000 subscribers, and you're an admin on some site that you claim to be on that none of us know anything about and think you get to look down on us. You wouldn't last a fucking minute in my shoes, princess. Not a fucking minute. So don't think you get to come on here and judge the rest of us, because you wouldn't last a day. So go back to your little bullshit social media account that apparently is great for being dickheads on, and enjoy yourself. But again, you're full of shit. And also, I don't believe a word of what you said either. You're somebody who got gifted a membership, I'm guessing, and decided that you're going to slap that person back in the face that was kind enough to gift you a membership by being a prick. But hey, I'm here to call the likes of you out and put you in your place. So off you pop. And my apologies to whoever it was that wasted their money gifting that gentleman a membership. Anywho, hey Michael, thank you bro for gifting 5 memberships. The irony of what I just said and then the kindness of that, mate. Thank you. Craig Adams upgraded a membership to Anfield Agenda Ultras. Top man bro, appreciate you. And Mr. Roberticus man, thank you for gifting Gunther a membership there as well. So, really quickly, as I finish up, I'm going to be recording an updated news video, and we're going to be covering a couple of really interesting bits in it tonight. We're going to be speaking about the opportunity Liverpool had to sign Isak, but ended up going for Darwin instead. We're going to be speaking about some other forwards we've been linked with and how serious that interest is, and a couple of other bits I didn't get the chance to cover on tonight's stream. That'll be out in about 20-25 minutes. There won't be any live content tomorrow. We're taking the day off live content, but there'll be a news video about 4:30 in the afternoon. The preview for the Fulham game is coming out early doors. That's out at 10 a.m. as well. And I hope to see you guys for Sunday, where we'll be live from 12:45 for a watch along of the Fulham game, 2 p.m. kickoff. And most importantly though, I want you guys to have a great weekend. Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you to our incredible sponsor Surfshark as well. Thank you to everybody who opened up and shared their stories tonight about their mental health journeys or the diagnoses of autism or Asperger's. I appreciate your sincerity. I appreciate your bravery. I appreciate your camaraderie and your support. And have yourselves a fucking wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Much love.